So, mm, let's start with this one. So, why the world keeps building bigger ships by Nehu? Nehu? Yeah, I think so. So I didn't think ships were getting bigger. Like I thought the biggest ship was like made in like early 2000s. Let me actually Google search real quick. When the biggest ship made. Mm. Yeah. So what is this guy talking about? The biggest ship was constructed in like yeah between 1974 to 1979. So I don't get what he means about ships getting bigger, or is he like going like throughout time? Because to my knowledge, there's no ship that what that what's the word? There's no ship that there's no new design of a ship that has come out in like the 2000s that is bigger than the ship, the already biggest one made in yeah, as I said, 1979. So yeah, let's see what it means.
Why the world is so obsessed with bigger ships. So massive that if you sit at the front, the back is nearly a quarter mile away. They're about the size of small islands, carrying tens of thousands of
Yeah,
steel
you're like
boxes,
painting a
or
ship.
act
Yeah.
as moving towns holding up to 10,000 people. Even have pools and
I say I never want to go on a cruise ship. I've heard too many bad things, like especially stuff like the Concordia, the poop ship. I don't know. I forgot whether the poop ship and the Concordia were the same one or there are two different ones. But I never want to deal with that. I'm fine staying on land.
go kart racing. Today, we are looking at the business behind these giant ships and how these mega ships control the prices of the products you buy every day. To understand how huge these ships are, we have to look back. In
There's it doesn't look like you're going to say like the ships are there's bigger design ships today like being designed today because that's what I assumed from the title, but no, it's going like basically throughout history.
the 1950s, a normal cargo ship carried just a few hundred containers. By the 1990s, companies built Panamax ships. These were designed to fit through the Panama Canal. They were about 294 meters long, 32 meters wide, and could hold about
So basically, the limits that they were designed for the limit. Um, God, yeah, this is my words today. They were designed to be as big as they can be, but still be able to like fit within the canal. Yeah, that's what. Yeah, that was something like
5,000 containers. But as global trade
five
grew,
thousand.
shipping companies
It's a
realized that
lot.
bigger was better. The jump to today's massive Megamax cargo ships is amazing. A ship that holds
Oh, how
over
many is that?
24,000 containers, like the Ever Alot,
Jeez.
carries enough cargo to fill a freight train 40 miles long. One trip can move millions of laptops, clothes, and car parts.
Wait, can one train take all that? That's impressive.
Now, it's not just solid goods either. The oil that powers the world moves on giant ships too. The biggest ship ever
In a
built
way,
was
though.
an oil tanker called the Seawise Giant. It was a staggering 458 meters.
Oh, it was a oil tanker. That's surprising. I thought it was what's it called? The container ship that was the biggest.
Oil that powers the world moves on giant ships too. The biggest ship ever built was an oil tanker called the Seawise Giant. It was a staggering
Titanic.
458 meters long, way bigger than the Empire State Building. Seawise
Mm.
Giant was attacked on May 14, 1988 during the Iran-Iraq War, while anchored off Larak Island in the Strait of Hormuz carrying Iranian crude oil. Now the oil industry uses very large crude oil carriers. These modern oil tankers strike a perfect balance. They're big enough to carry 2 million barrels of oil, but small enough to still fit into major ports safely. But it isn't just cargo and oil that are supersizing, it's also human beings. The cruise industry is just as obsessed with building behemoths.
Yeah, the fat American. That was a joke. That was a joke.
Today, the biggest cruise ships in the world belong to the Royal Caribbean Group, specifically their Icon class. The Icon of the Seas and her sister ship is
Right, right.
obsessed with building behemoths. Today, the biggest cruise ships in the world belong to the Royal Caribbean Group, specifically their Icon
Well,
class.
all of them.
The Icon of the Seas and her sister ship, the Star of the Seas, are literal floating
It's,
cities.
it's,
They are an
it's,
incredible 365 meters long and 65 meters wide. To put that in perspective, they have 20 decks, hold 7 swimming pools, and carry up to 7,600 passengers plus 2,350 crew members. That's nearly 10,000 people on a single ship. And the cruise companies are hungry for more. Royal Caribbean has already placed new orders to build a third and fourth Icon class ship for delivery in the late 2020s. Rival companies are joining the race too. MSC Cruises is rapidly expanding its massive world class fleet,
these are
while
getting more
Carnival
big ships.
Corporation recently signed huge new orders to build massive next generation ships powered by LNG for delivery in 2027 and
I've been making a lot of money from this. With how much they're rushing to build new ones. Like, jeez. Like, I heard like it takes like years to build a ship this size.
2028.
Crazy.
So, who owns these giant fleets?
Just
Most
one
of
of
the
them.
world's shipping is controlled by a few massive companies. At the top is MSC, the Mediterranean Shipping Company, which actually owns MSC Cruises too. They run the largest cargo fleet in the world. Today, the biggest container ship on the ocean is the MSC Irina. It can hold a record breaking 24,346 containers. It's almost 400
Insane.
meters long and 61.3 meters wide. Next is Evergreen Marine from Taiwan, famous for their bright green ships. But an interesting change
Yeah.
is happening. Maersk, a huge Danish company, was actually the first
Oh,
to
I know
build
Mars.
modern megaships back in 2013. Now they're changing their
Oh,
plan. Instead of building the biggest ships possible, Maersk is ordering slightly smaller ships that run on cleaner green methanol fuel. At the same time, rivals like CMA CGM in France are still ordering massive new ships that run on natural gas. And the building isn't stopping. Right now, shipyards have orders to build enough new cargo ships to increase the world's total space by 30.
uh, hmm. I wonder what the reason is. Is it did the guy change the what's it called to a smaller one for the fuel type because of like cost or what? Uh, hmm. I'm not sure about the reason.
Shipyards have orders
Yeah,
to
but
build
that's not
enough
too
new
much.
cargo ships to increase the world's total space by 30% in
But
gas.
what?
And the building isn't stopping. Right now, shipyards have orders to build enough new cargo ships to increase the world's total space by 30%. You cannot build ships this big anywhere. For cargo ships, the center of global shipbuilding
What does it mean increase the space? That makes no sense.
build enough new cargo ships to increase the world's total space by 30%.
Oh, to I think it means they build more cargo ships in order to be able to like transport more loads faster, basically. Because it's so weird how we worded it. Like build more ships to increase the world space. That makes sense.
You cannot build ships this big anywhere. For cargo ships, the center of global shipbuilding is now almost entirely in Asia, using dry docks
Wow.
over 400 meters long. Giant Chinese state-owned shipyards like Hudong Songhua build record breakers like the MSC Irina. Across the seas, South Korean shipyards like Samsung Heavy Industries build complex alternative fuel ships.
Samsung, of course.
However, for the giant cruise ships, Europe is still the king. The massive
Oh,
Icon of the Seas was built by the Meyer Turku shipyard in Finland, while France builds the megaships for MSC Cruises. Building these ships takes a lot of money. Just one giant container ship costs over $200 million, while a mega cruise ship
honestly, doesn't cost as much as I thought. It's crazy how there's a bunch of AAA games that cost just as much or even more. But a whole container ship, that's yo, that's
Just
crazy.
one giant container ship costs over $200 million, while a mega cruise ship like the Icon of the Seas costs a staggering $2 billion to build. So,
Yeah, that's the price I thought it would be. So container, yeah, well, it makes sense that container ships are cheaper because all the stuff you need for a cruise ship. Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Think about it.
why spend so much money on a single ship?
And also look at the design and everything compared to like the container ship. Container ship is very simple because its job is just to take containers. Meanwhile, this one is all full of people. It's a ton of stuff. You need more for people.
Staggering $2 billion to build. So, why spend so much money on a single ship? The answer is simple. If you double the size of a cargo ship, you do not need twice as many sailors. A giant ship
Yeah.
still only needs a crew of about 24 people. More importantly,
Oh, only
doubling it does
24.
not double the fuel it burns. By packing 24,000
Really?
containers onto one ship, the cost to move each individual box drops by a lot. For cruise ships, adding
Mm.
thousands
Oh
of
yeah,
extra
yeah, yeah.
cabins
That
means
makes
more
sense.
ticket sales and more people spending money on the onboard casinos and restaurants, all
Yep.
sharing the same engine costs. There's also an environmental benefit. Moving one container on a massive ship creates less pollution than moving that same container on a smaller ship. Because the world
Mm.
is making strict new rules about pollution, megaships are currently the most fuel efficient way to move goods across the ocean. However,
Yeah.
always trying to save money has created big risks. Most of the world's ports were never built for these big ships. A fully loaded
Um,
cargo ship like the MSC Irina sinks about 16.5 meters, or 54 feet, into the water. Major US ports like Baltimore or older terminals
okay, hear me out. So this ship takes the stuff along most of the way, and then it just before it gets to these ports that it can't go to because it goes too low. It just waits out there, and then you bring out another ship, a smaller one, to just offload some of it and then offload it back. But I don't know how much that will cost though, because it's like a short trip. Just go like a kilometer out. If if even it will be that far, it will need to be that far. I don't think it would need to be that far off that far from the port. Hold on, I'm speaking too fast. So yeah, so yeah, just have a smaller ship, take the containers from the bigger ship, and then offload them in the port, and then go back and take and then do that over and over. But I'm not sure if that will like cost too much.
in New York simply don't have the depth. Even giant cruise ships face this problem. Historic cities like Venice have completely banned mega cruise ships from their central waters because of their massive size. To make room,
Makes sense.
cities and island nations have spent billions of dollars in massive dredging operations. Dredging crews have to constantly scoop out and dig the ocean floor just to deepen water.
But why? Okay, now my idea actually sounds good because this costs so much. And don't you have to do it over and over again? Ah, my idea maybe makes more sense. Well, as for the cruise ship, it wouldn't work for the cruise ship. Well, actually, it can because if the yeah, because you can like offload people that way to the city, and then when they are coming back, if it's like a stop, and then you continue the route, they you just bring them back with the small ship again. So yeah, my yeah, why not my idea? My idea sounds better. This I know this dredging is expensive. Like nah.
Water channels for these behemoths. Cargo ports also have to buy much taller Super Panamax cranes just to reach across the 61-meter wide decks. We used to build ships to
Oh yeah. How do you? Well, you you can build a crane on a ship. Let me search that. Ships with cranes. Yeah, you could. Like the smaller boat could have a crane on it, and then you could probably take like that. Like how about these? I don't know if could make them like tall enough and like balanced enough to take from one ship to the next. Uh, ship. What's it? Taking taking from that's one am I rating at the ship. Okay. I'm getting no results of a crane ship taking from another ship, so that probably wouldn't work. But got engineers. Maybe they could design something. What's going on here? Damn. Yeah, have a smaller ship which will with a crane on it to take stuff on the bigger ship and then takes it to port and then comes back and yeah, does that.
Fit our ports. Now we're
Yeah.
constantly rebuilding and digging out our ports to fit the ships. Then
Yeah,
there
that's super expensive, bro. Nah, originally when I said my idea at first, I thought it was stupid, but now I think it's a great idea.
are the narrow waterways. These new ships are too wide to fit through the Panama Canal, and they
Jeez.
barely fit in the Suez Canal. In 2021, a giant ship called the Ever Given got stuck
Yeah, they ever give it you. No. The amount of memes that came out of this, probably terrible for anyone that had to deal with that, but for everyone else, the spectators, it was so great.
in the Suez Canal, and it stopped $9 billion worth of global trade every single day it was stuck.
Yeah, but to be fair, it, you can't really say it's because of the ship size. Well, you kind of, uh, because when it turned, it it basically got stuck on both sides. That's why it was stuck. So if it was smaller, it wouldn't get stuck. Yeah, but my point was going to be that uh it this happened because of bad decisions. So can't really blame the ship size that much.
And it stopped $9 billion worth of global trade every single day it was stuck. It took months to fix the mess it cost. There's also the problem of traffic jams on land. When a megaship arrives at a port like Los
Yeah, that's a
Angeles, it drops
lot.
off tens of thousands of containers all at once. The ports,
Mm,
trucks, and freight trains can't move that many boxes fast enough. This causes huge delays. How does this world of steel and shipping affect you? The truth is, these megaships are the reason we
yeah,
can
that's
buy
true. I
things
don't know how
so
to solve
cheaply.
that.
Because giant ships save so much money, the actual cost to ship a pair of shoes from Asia to Europe or America is just a few pennies. This keeps the
Mm.
prices in our local stores much lower than they would be otherwise. But there's a catch. We now rely completely on these megaships running smoothly. If a storm delays a megaship or a port gets too crowded, we feel it
Yeah,
directly. We
so
see
many
empty
stuff
shelves at the grocery
delayed.
store and delayed packages at our doors. We traded safety and speed for cheap shipping. This brings us to an important question. Have ships gotten too big? Many experts think that a cargo ship
Nah, I don't think so. Because like the positives outweigh the negatives, in my opinion.
carrying 24,000 to 26,000 containers is the absolute limit. If we make them any wider
And
or
this, right?
have ships gotten too big? Many experts think that a cargo ship carrying 24,000 to 26,000 containers is the absolute limit. If we
Yeah, well, we haven't gotten bigger than that anyway. Because as is mentioned, the biggest container ship is like 24,000 something. Yeah, so it's fine.
make them any wider or deeper, they simply won't be able to travel through important sea routes like the Suez Canal or the Strait of Malacca. The next race in shipping isn't about size anymore. It's about clean fuel. As companies switch to green energy, the era of
Yeah,
building bigger
yeah.
and bigger ships might be ending, but the giant ships we already built are here to stay. The question now is whether our ports and supply chains can handle the massive ships we already created. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.
The clean energy thing, unless you can get unless you can the new power source can be like as efficient or like efficient enough, you ain't changing it because like saying, oh, we need to ban this. just because of clean fuel, but it gonna mess up the economy. Like I don't care what environmentalists say, it's not gonna happen. Like either develop a good fuel that that pollutes less and is as efficient, or we just keeping with this because yeah, we will need the stuff. They build bigger ships to pack more cargo and lowers the needs of crew. And we, the sailors and engineers on board, are being given a job empty. Okay, I didn't consider that honestly. Work fatigue and pressure are one of the main issues in working in a sailor ship. Yeah, I can see that. I was even surprised when he said like 20 people for such a big ship. Yeah, that's stress. Maersk switching to green methyl is smart, but will smaller ships really beat mega efficiency? Yeah, that's true. That's the thing I was thinking about. Like he didn't like mention how small the ship was compared to the big ones. So I don't know if it will be like as efficient. Let's keep the shipping content coming. Yeah, I love the content. It's great. Yeah, I'm subscribed. Great video.